One of the intelligence failures, and I must say our failures, was that we did not take Sadat all that seriously. I had two conversations, secret conversations with his national security advisor, one in France and one in the United States, in order to see whether we could get a peace process started. And we had intended to start one after the Israeli elections, which was scheduled for the end of October of that year. But Sadat, who had succeeded Nasser in 1970, had been threatening things for years. And in fact, when his security advisor met me the first time, he made a presentation at the end of which he said, if we succeed, the president will invite you to Cairo. And I wrote a little note to one of my associates sitting next to me, and I said, would it be impolite to ask him what the second prize is? So this was the political background. When I became Secretary of State, which was at the end of September, 2 weeks before the war started, I found out that the State Department had an intelligence research unit, which I had not been aware of. So I came in on the first Sunday that I was Secretary of State to read some of their reports. And I found that they were reporting that there was a concentration of Syrian divisions on the Golan Heights and of Egyptian divisions along the Suez Canal. And so I asked them what it meant. I asked the CIA what it meant. I asked the Israeli intelligence how they interpreted it. They all interpreted it as bluff and maneuvers that would not amount to anything. So I asked them to make a report every other day, every 2 days, to see. And every 2 days they reported the same thing. These divisions are still there. They're not doing anything particular. And so I went off to the UN. And this is why there's so much on the telephone, because I had to handle the first part of the crisis from New York. And right through, then on Thursday, I mean, I'm talking now about intelligence failures. On Thursday, the war started on a Saturday, Yom Kippur. On Thursday, we got a report that the Soviet dependents in Syria and Egypt were leaving the country. And we asked the intelligence people what that was due to. It said, well, there must be one of these quarrels between Arabs and Soviets. Nobody asked the question, who could be quarreling with the Arabs, with Syria and Egypt simultaneously, that would evoke this.
Synchronized anger.
So when that phone call came in at 6:15 in the morning, the first thing that Cisco, who brought me, he was the Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs, Undersecretary for Political Affairs, when he came in, he said, if you get on this right away, were his first words to me, if you get on this right away, you'll get it under control. Well, by that time it was way out of control. The Egyptians were getting ready to go across the canal. The Israelis sent us a message saying, assure the Egyptians that we have no intention of attacking, so if they're attacking because they're afraid of us, there is no need. And the first, so I asked the emergency group in Washington, that was called Washington Special Action Group, to meet to assess that situation. And their assessment was that probably Israel was starting this, because the mindset was that this could not, that the Arabs were not in any position to start a war. So we spent, it can be traced in the book, the first 3 or 4 hours of the war analyzing who had started it. And the conversation with Abba Eban, where I say the Egyptians are telling us, I was talking to the Egyptian foreign minister, to the Soviets, and I said, the Egyptians are telling us you attacked in the Gulf with a naval operation, and I said, this is not your normal way of procedure, and he said, oh, no, but I don't know what's going on. So it wasn't until it started at 6, I would say it wasn't until about 11 that it was clear who had started it and the magnitude. And it took 2 more days before we and the Israelis realized that the Arab armies had actually scored a substantial success.
Let me